Hello and welcome to Bunto Silent Dogfight, episode number 26, Jakki Kite. And our special guest tonight is, of course, the lovely Jakki Kite. As per usual, we will open up the room to participants after the interview. Thanks. And of course, I'm your host, Bunto Skiffler. Hope you're all having a great week so far. Let me give you a quick bio background on our lovely guest. She's located in Southern California, a very talented 3D animator, and a recent university graduate. Welcome to the show, Jakki. Are you having a good week so far?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really bad
Right?
at this whole interviewing thing. I suck at talking about myself.
Okay, well, we're going to change that tonight. Alrighty.
Alright.
You have been on YouTube and G Plus for how long?
Just over a year now.
How'd you get started in it?
Well, it's a little bit of a crazy story. I have a friend who I did a workshop with in college, and he was obsessed with the drunken peasant. Am I talking too quiet or too loud?
No, go for it, honey. So he was obsessed with the drunken peasants.
Yes, and he wanted to go into a G-Man hangout, and I was just like, sure. And I ended up going in there without him.
Oh,
And then he just kind of like disappeared, and so
chickened out.
then, yeah, he chickened out. I got to go G-Man in that hangout, and Rand Campbell was there, and then he invited me into another hangout the next day, and people started adding me on G Plus, but I didn't know I had a G Plus profile because apparently they're attached to YouTube accounts. So I just kind of got dragged in,
Like
and
you became a
then
desirable commodity right off the bat.
I guess um, and then I got contacted by Alex Boughton uh,
Right.
on G Plus, and he invited me onto the Fundamentally Flawed Facebook group, and that's kind of how I got started.
Okay, and this is over a year ago? Like,
Yes, this was
okay.
last August.
You strolled into the G-Man hangout, and the first thing out of your mouth was, I don't believe in God, right?
I don't remember.
You don't remember.
I think he was being very leery of who was coming in, so I think one of the first things I said might have been like, "I promise I'm over 18."
Okay. All right. Well, what did you think of G-Man?
um, at the
Be
time,
honest,
yeah,
please.
I'm just trying to think what, because it's been a year, and my opinion of him has changed over time. But I'm trying to remember what my first impression was. I think I was too occupied with being scared that I was talking to a room full of people
Right.
on a live hangout. Um, I think I was more intrigued by Rand's presence.
By Ran. Okay.
Yeah.
Ran took an interest to you, and he did his typical Ran Cam act, or was he different?
Well, he was a typical God-fearing Christian and stuff, but he he was a gentleman in that hangout.
He was a
He was
gentleman. He
very,
wasn't pro
yeah,
wrestling Ran Cam. He was Ran Cam the gentleman.
yeah, in that hangout, yes. He, I think he, there's several Christians who I've heard think that I'm going to become a Christian, and he might have seen potential
Oh.
in me.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay. So, did you let on it you were an atheist or not?
yeah. I think I made it clear that I was an atheist. I'm pretty
Like,
sure I did. I don't really remember that hangout all too well. I might have to go back and watch it sometime.
when did these guys give up on trying to flip you to believing in God, or have
Well,
they?
I don't think they've given up. It's just I haven't
Okay.
been active on the Christian hangouts as much as I used to.
Like, you think these guys one day Jackie's going to say there is a God? Is that
Well, I know that Veko and G-Man are hoping that because I heard them say that on one of G-Man's latest hangouts. But
Oh, I see.
yeah.
Okay, so like the theists take an interest in you. How about the atheists besides Botan? I mean, I think Botan's just a clown. So, tell me what other atheists palled around with you right off the bat.
What other atheists? Well, the the Insomnia Shuffle group definitely
Okay.
took interest in me. I mean, that's how I met Kevin. But I think you know who 13 Heathens is.
Right.
Yeah, like the guys that he hangs around. I I I feel the most comfortable with that group of people. That's kind of my corner of the community.
And then all of a sudden you discovered Nadia.
Oh, you know what? Nadia was. I think Nadia was in the hangout, my first hangout, in that G-Man hangout. And
Okay.
I thought, and I had no idea she was transgender.
Okay, well, all right. Okay, well, how did
And then
Nadia know she had that?
later I found out that she ran regular hangouts, but that's initially how I met her.
Right. Okay, so all these people were very interesting to you, correct?
I'm sorry?
All these people were very interesting to you.
Yeah, they're interesting characters, yeah.
Okay, and you dived headfirst into the hangout scene. So, like, how many hangouts do you end up doing? A week, month?
Well, at first I was going into Christian hangouts because I didn't know where the atheists were, so it was maybe a hangout a day, and then Alex contacted me, and then I was in maybe two hangouts a day, but I was like doing schoolwork while
Okay.
I was in these hangouts. So they were a great way for me to relax and have company while I was, 3D modeling or something.
Right. Okay, so G plus, right? What do you think is the purpose of the great debate community? Do you think it is, to figure out if there's a God or not, or is it something else?
No, I think well, I think there's not an ultimate purpose of the community. I think there's as many purposes to the community as there are people who participate in it.
Right.
Like generally speaking, I think some people are here for a discussion. Um, Not necessarily to answer the big question, but to answer the smaller questions that formulate the answer to the big question.
Okay, so you
And
love to give
then
your opinion on things, right?
when it's a topic that I'm passionate about, and uh, when uh, if my opinion is asked for, um, I usually have a hard time jumping into the conversation and saying something. I'm that person who asks in the side chat, can I talk?
Right.
Can I
Okay.
talk?
Now, Jackie, you like being polite all the time, right?
I try to be. There have been some instances,
There have been an
regrettably.
instance where you weren't polite.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um.
please enlighten us, elucidate on the time when Jackie Kite wasn't polite.
um. I think probably the times when I feel like I can drop the politeness is when people are making absurd claims about uh, topics relating to the LGBT community
Okay, Christian
and
Hillbilly, right?
sexuality and stuff.
Christian Hillbilly, pops in the room and he tells me that I'm going to hell, and you
Yeah,
tell him that's not nice, Jim, or what?
the thing is I haven't interacted with Christian Hillbilly since my revelation that I need to stick up for myself, which has
Okay,
happened a couple months back. But when I was letting people walk all over me, he was calling me little girl and
that's
telling me
right.
that
I
I don't
remember
know
that.
anything, and I'm just not gonna let people do that to me anymore. But I haven't interacted with him since I had that revelation.
Are you ever just gonna say, Jim, you're full of shit?
Maybe not in those exact words,
Okay,
but
why are you so polite? Explain to me the thinking behind all that.
because
Especially
I
here
think
in this
more
community.
I think more can be accomplished
More can be
with
accomplished if you're nice. Now, Jim, you
yeah.
know that's not right. We're all, equal people.
well, to counter him, I would once again list my credentials because I am somewhat qualified to talk about sexuality and the
Right.
LGBT community.
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you think about guys that come in white knight you? I mean, you don't like that, or you appreciate it, or you love it, or what?
Um, late nighting. I think I haven't really had many instances where people have white knighted me.
Really?
I think really, I haven't really been in instances where I've needed to be white knighted.
Right.
Usually, I'm sorry.
You can handle yourself, right?
I can handle myself. Yeah, I can handle myself a lot better than I think people think I can.
Have you ever rage quit? I don't think I've ever seen you rage quit.
I've rage quitted.
Okay, well, give an example. Why'd you rage quit? Because you just blew the top?
The recent incident where G-Man accused me of coming into a hangout and saying the N-word.
Okay.
I did rage quit very quickly. I didn't want to. I didn't want to say anything that I would regret. I didn't want to be crying in a hangout.
Have you ever
So once
cried in a hangout?
I started to, and then I quit because I didn't want to. I didn't want to go there.
Okay. Would you ever just, fight back the urge to quit and just stay there, because, just
It
stay in your position? Would you ever do that?
it depends. If it's on a topic that needs defending, or I feel like it needs defending, I'll stay. But if it's just like if it becomes okay, hold on. Here's a
Okay.
better way to put this. Here's a better way. If I feel like I need to rage quit because we're uh, my point isn't getting across, or someone's not understanding me, or there's a miscommunication or something, then I'm not going to. If it has turned into petty insults and childish behavior, then I will.
Right.
Because I don't do petty insults and childish behavior.
Okay. G-Man is what, 90% petty insults and childish behavior, or is there anything more to him?
I think he can be childish, but I do see a lot of people provoking him
Oh, okay.
sometimes.
People hectoring G-Man, and then he goes off the ledge.
I think so. I think that might be maybe half the time. I think the other half is he gets passionate,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he needs to learn how to control himself when he gets passionate.
Of all the theists that we interact with, which one can keep his head about him? Ran,
Can
Shamos.
do what?
Keep his head on. Not,
Keep his head on.
blow is cool. Because, with G-Man will throw a whiny fit 20 seconds after I start talking to him, and he'll block me forever. Because he's
Well,
just
are we talking about amongst?
point.
Are we talking about amongst Christians or amongst the
Yeah, amongst
fundamental
the theists,
Christians?
which ones can take a punch? As far as you can.
Well, I think well I think um people like Epicurus, Philly Beagle maniacs, uh, Christian anarchists.
Like, you can tell these guys right to their face, hey, there's no God, and they won't, like, block you forever.
No, oh, I can tell that to Fiona too, and she wouldn't. I don't think she
Right.
would block me. Obviously it's Fiona. She's a sweetheart.
Okay,
Um,
so the female theists are better than the male theists, right? As far as, like,
I wouldn't
understanding.
necessarily say that, but I think I mean, in a generalizing sense, I wouldn't be able to say that. But personally, with individual with the individuals in this community, I've had better experience with some of the female theists, like Gretchen and Shani and
I concur.
Bella
Shannon.
and
Yeah, even
um,
Sabella.
yeah, I love Sabella.
It's sort of like but the husband, Bruce, he can't
I
listen to
love
me.
Bruce too.
But Bruce, he'll throw a fit.
We get in little Facebook discussions, and I think he's fun to talk to.
Yeah. Well,
I
that's
mean I can tell him I'm an you know how you were asking who can you say there is no God and
right.
they will block you. I think Bruce is one of them.
Very good. Okay, let me ask you. Okay, I think you're very unique, Jakki. A very sweet person. What's it like to be unique? What's it like to feel special?
um the
I mean, do you
uh
feel that you stand out in the crowd?
I think in terms of physical looks, maybe, yeah. I mean, how often do you run into someone with two fingers on each hand on the streets? I mean, it's the same as if you see a wheelchair. You're gonna look.
Right. So tell me about, growing up that way. I mean, did it ever make you sad
Um,
or?
it was sad at first. I mean, I didn't. When you're a child, you don't understand the science behind it.
Okay.
So I was gullible as a child, I was taught that my hands were a result of uh, original sin.
Oh. Okay, where does this come
Yeah.
from? Not from your family members, or was it from your
Oh,
family
yeah, from
members?
my family members and from my church, and surprisingly, I was in a Catholic church.
Okay, interesting. All right, so keep going. What happened?
Um, well, eventually, I learned that my condition was genetic,
Right.
and that there's really nothing special about genetic conditions. They happen all the time. I mean, my specific one is rare, but lots of people have disabilities. Lots of people are on the same boat in terms of how they feel about it, how they've had to deal with it.
If I recall,
Um,
there's a very famous female broadcaster that has the same condition.
yeah,
She was
Bree
married,
Walker.
yes, and she was married to Jim Lampley.
Yeah, and she had children. She didn't have my condition though. She
Okay.
had she was missing fingers, and it
Oh.
was genetic,
Right.
but it's not my condition. And I remember people were just so mad at her about having a second child because her first child had her condition.
Right.
And then she was pregnant again, and everyone was like, "How dare you bring another child into this world with this condition? They're gonna suffer." And I just find that to be such an insult.
Okay, well, people don't understand, right? They don't realize that
No.
people can overcome these things. So they,
Yeah, and it makes you a stronger person. I mean, if I was a Christian, I would almost say I was blessed with
okay,
this condition.
okay, Jakki, just for our listeners out there, okay, you have a genetic condition and then you take the blame for it. I mean, where does that thinking come from in the theist mindset?
Oh,
Why?
it comes from the whole narrative that we're imperfect
Right.
creatures
That we're
and we
corrupted
need
right off the
and
bat.
yeah, and that's the whole motivation to welcoming Jesus into your life. That is the pitch to getting people to join Christianity.
Right.
That's the elevator pitch. You know
Okay.
how in media in the entertainment industry, they call it an elevator pitch because if your idea is really good, then you can pitch it to the producer in just a short elevator ride. I think the pitch for Christianity is you're an imperfect creature and you need Jesus to save you.
Very interesting. Okay, so did the pitch work on you or not?
It used
Obviously
to.
not. It used
It
to. Okay,
used
so what
to.
happened?
And then science happened, and
And
then
then science happened.
yeah, and then actually going to an art high school
Good.
where people were more educated and I hate to say it, more liberal, more
More
skeptic.
liberal.
Um, so yeah, I hung out with the right crowd.
Okay, let's suppose that, I'm not a not so educated person, right? Well, I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of somebody, who meets you and they're like kind of shocked, of seeing somebody with just two fingers and, you know, I mean, do you try to like reach out to that person or you just have to like bypass those type of people and let them, you know, grow out of it?
Can you repeat that again? I'm
Think
sorry.
about it. I mean, there's probably people that are now, mature and they said, well, I should have been nicer to Jackie, you know, but they just weren't at a maturity level to understand, genetic deep.
Well, when I was being bullied, I still
Yeah, they
didn't
bullied
really
you.
understand. Yeah, I still didn't really understand the whole thing.
Yeah, but
Um,
now, what would you do if those people came back in your life and wanted to apologize and, or just, connect?
I would give them a big hug. I it's okay. People
They were scared,
when
right?
they're
In a way.
growing up, people don't understand things that are different from what they're
Right.
used to. And a lot of people have to go through certain life experiences to be able to understand it.
Right. It's all
And
about
people change.
misunderstanding.
I believe people change.
Right. Okay. So you felt unique all the way through, high school to college, or I mean, did you get over it and just try to melt, blend in, or what?
Well, I think the reason for my uniqueness changed.
Okay,
It
cool.
wasn't when going into college. It wasn't really any more about my hands and
Right. No
more
ego.
about the way I express myself through my art,
Right. Expression.
the way I interact with other people, and the way I influence the people around me. Um, I also place a lot more focus on my cleft palate issues because I there was a certain point in late high school where I had just kind of accepted that I have my hands are the way they are, but my
Right.
cleft palate issues are fixable. So
Right.
I went through a couple years of jaw surgeries and other oral surgeries. I'm not done yet, but I feel a lot more confident now that I don't have much of an underbite anymore. But I have focused a lot more of my energy on my art
Right.
and and yeah.
Okay. Well, let me
I
ask you
get
this.
one more thing. I get more disappointed when I don't achieve something related to academics or my career or field of interest or my hobbies than I do if someone makes fun of my hands.
Oh,
It's more
interesting. Yeah.
personal.
Not a maturity. Okay. Well, let me ask you this. Okay. So, Catholic, are you very spiritual?
I am spiritual. Yes. And it's funny because about a week or so ago I was in a hangout and Nephilim Free came in.
Right.
And I forget what the conversation was, but in the side chat, I was compelled to mention that I am a spiritual atheist, and he was just like, he was freaking out. He was like, "Oh my God, that's an oxymoron. How can you be
Okay.
spiritual and an atheist?" But the key is that um, my atheism only says something about my belief in a God or not.
Okay. So, I mean, how did you answer his question? I mean,
Well, when I use the word spiritual, I think I'm describing something different than what most people think. Like I don't believe in the supernatural, but I
right.
believe that everything is connected um, through natural means. atoms, energy, um, you know, we just because we have a natural explanation for it doesn't take away from
The
the
magic.
awe, the magic,
Poetry.
yeah, the awe that we humans are capable of feeling when thinking about how big the world is.
Alrighty. Okay. The non-spiritual atheists. What do you think of them? The materialists, like.
Um, I mean, if it works for them, it works for them. Some people are more happy with being very cutthroat.
Cutthroat.
Uh, I don't know if that's the right word, but very, uh, God, very,
Anti-sentimental.
maybe that's the word. I'm not sure. I'm not the most articulate person, so.
Okay. You're very sentimental, right? Flowers, holding hands,
Yeah,
dancing into the
yeah,
sunset.
yeah,
Well, on
yeah,
the other hand, there's people that struggle with sentimentality. Like me.
yeah.
Okay. Do you
hmm
think you could like teach me how to be sentimental? Like how
I
to
I
like.
don't know. I think it has a lot to do with personality and my life experiences. I don't think you can just be sentimental overnight. But I do recommend. This is gonna sound silly, but I really like going on walks and hikes and meditating out in the
Meditate.
woods, and yeah, I love meditation. It's really good for you. I know a lot of um, atheists who are just like, oh, meditation is woo, but
Right.
I mean, there are certain aspects that other spiritual people tack onto it that I don't believe in. But I think generally, taking a few moments out of your day to breathe in and breathe out
Breathe in,
and
breathe out.
not think about anything that's stressing you out, I think that's really good for you. And I think there's actually science to back that up.
Okay. Interesting. All right. So, maybe there is hope for hardcore materialists like me, right?
Perhaps. I mean,
Eh,
try. I
you
know
learned
you
all your
like
spiritualism.
exercising and things.
You learned all your
Just
spiritualism from your college buddies, right? You
no.
went to college and you met all these
I
hippies and you meet these freaks and people on drugs and liberals, right? Isn't that who you met in college?
I think they might have had somewhat of an
Hippie?
influence, but I've always had some sort of spiritual, creative side to me.
Okay. So you're like
Yeah,
a hippie chick?
maybe.
All
Kind
right.
of.
Okay. In college, okay, what did college do for you exactly? I mean, did it, you know, teach you a skill or did you teach you, the types of people that you're
Well,
going to
I
meet in
think
life?
I think there are two major things that
The
happened
big
to me in
words.
college. Number one is the social experience, and
Okay.
the street smart type of side to things. I learned how to interact with people better because I'm not the biggest people person.
All right.
I'm very much an introvert. Um, I grew up. I used to be a goody two shoes. I hated the ideas of like drinking and sets and tattoos and piercings, and now I love wine. I drink weekly. I have sets.
Right.
and
So it's like,
I have tattoos and piercings, and I
you
I
opened
think
up your,
I discovered myself.
you discovered yourself. You opened up your
Yeah,
vistas. You started exploring things.
yeah. I learned how to live on my own. I was a tenant for a house for 3 years. I
Okay.
had to.
What college you go to?
What college? I went to Savannah College of Art and Design in Savannah, Georgia.
All right. Now, the Christian says, okay, the reason you went to an art college, that's how come you're an atheist, right? Because nobody
I'm
believes
sorry?
in God there. That's going to say that's how come you're an atheist, right? That you don't believe in God.
That's that's why?
What wouldn't the atheist say that since you went to some hippie college, full of art beatniks, that's the
Mm.
reason you're an atheist?
Well, there were a number of Christian,
Oh, really? Did you mingle
students
with them?
there. Yeah, of course. I mean, I didn't. The only real time. Okay, so I was in a philosophy class, um, where we did have a day where the students debated, whether there was a God or not, and I was the only outspoken atheist in the room.
Okay.
Um, and then at my house, before my senior year, my roommates and I would have a lot of like wine and cheese parties where we had some friends come over, and that
Salon party.
particular group of friends like to talk about politics and philosophy and you know civil rights.
Sure.
I
Gotta
was
get
an
that.
and I still am an LGBT activist.
Sure.
I went to weekly meetings
Right.
for queers and allies. So I guess yeah, art school really did influence me, but I think I was mostly in terms of my views, my political and social views and religious views. I think most of my influence that got me down this path was in high school, because I went to an art high school too.
An
It
art high
wasn't just
school.
college. Yeah,
Okay, Jackie, would you say you would have the same experience if you went to like Liberty University, some hardcore Christian college? You would have developed the same.
I would have never have gone to it. Oh my god, I can't imagine myself going to
If you
a
went to like a
religious
Bible school,
college. Um,
what's that, Yuma University or whatever the hell it is out there? Yeah, you go to a Bible school, you would have developed all these, same social relationships, correct?
I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I don't know. I can't really. It's a big what if, and just saying like what if I went to this school doesn't. It's not really enough to determine whether I would have turned out some other way.
Interesting. So you had your doubts about God going into college, right?
Yeah, I had doubts. I actually went through a long spectrum of a transition. Like, I went from Catholic to Christian to
Okay.
theist to
Okay.
deist to pantheist to atheist. And it was over the course of like 2 years or something.
2 years. Okay. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, what was the straw that broke the camel's back? I mean, can you clue us in on that?
um, I think it just clicked one day. It was
Like you cracked
2012,
open the
I
Bible and
think.
finally read it, and it was like, what is whack?
No, I was just thinking about it a lot during some time in 2012, and I was just like, it was from pantheist to atheist. So basically, I figured, okay, if everything is God, then that kind of then why even call it God?
Right. God is
Like
so
that
transparent.
takes
He's
away
everything
from
there.
yeah. I would still say that in some way I am a pantheist, but I just choose to not use the term God
Right.
because I think in when I use the word God, it has butchered the term too much.
Okay, Jackie. Let's say I'm like getting out of high school and I get to pick a college, and I ask you, hey, should I go to like Liberty University or should I go to Savannah Art Institute? What would you tell me?
Depends on what your major is. Like I chose a college. I chose SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design, on the basis of how good their animation program was.
Should I go to
Not
art school or should I go to
necessarily like,
Bible school? What would you tell me if I was coming out of high school? Should I go to art school or should I go to
well,
Bible school?
I mean, that's
It
a
has to
hard
be
one because
right.
if I were if you're religious and you really want to go into like ministry, then I would say then do that. But I would say be careful because I have heard of ministers and priests who go into that and they study the Bible and they realize that it's not true, and
Right.
then they're stuck in a position where um they
Okay.
don't believe in what they're preaching.
People, do they need to realize that it's not true? I mean, you're an atheist. Tell me, don't they need to
God.
finally realize that it's not true?
I think people would be better off. Um, I think that um, well, see, the thing is I want to say that religion can teach people how to be good people. There's morals. Jesus teaches the golden rule
All
and all
right.
that. And there are, and even though I don't think it's the correct interpretation of the Bible, sorry, moderate
Correct.
Christians, but
No.
I think a lot of moderate Christians, even though it's the wrong interpretation of the
Moderate
Bible,
Christians.
are doing it right. They're being compassionate.
Christians doing it right.
I think, okay, here's the best way I can put it. I think a lot of atheists criticize moderate Christians for not uh, being a true Christian because they're not uh,
True
interpreting the
Christian.
Bible the correct way. But I think it's more important to be a good person than to be a quote true Christian. So if someone's being a Christian and they're in my eyes doing it right, being a compassionate person, being a tolerant person, being an open person, then I don't see anything wrong.
Okay. The Christian
Hold on, I gotta
can.
sneeze. Hold on.
Go ahead. The Christian can, cling on to his delusions in your book, right?
Okay. Sorry, I sneezed, so I didn't hear what you
I was gonna
said.
say it's okay for the Christian to, clutch on to his delusions in your book, right? It's okay
Eh,
for him to
as long as
fantasize
their
away
message,
fairy
as
tales,
long as their message is of love, and if it gives them, comfort. People
talking
lose.
snakes,
Well,
flying, rising
no,
on the third day.
I'm talking more about, there's heaven and people just feel more comforted believing in an afterlife. Oh no, I think it's. I
Afterlife.
have so many issues with the whole afterlife thing, but I think if it
Yeah.
comforts people, then
I only really have one issue with the afterlife thing. Can you guess what it is?
mm,
That it's
I'm
not
wondering
real.
if it's the same thing. Oh,
That's the only issue I have with it. Listen,
yeah.
why don't we just leave that, being polite to theism, bending over backwards until you can, touch your ankles, to talk about something that I think is even more important nowadays: internet relationships. Okay. Now, could you tell our listeners about how you are a winner with internet relationships? Tell us all about Kevin, please.
I am. I've taken the golden trophy, the first place when it
Right,
comes to finding a boyfriend online.
right. I mean, you know,
um.
there are winners and there are losers, right? Okay, what does it take for it to work out so well? Tell our listeners how.
It takes an end goal. I think what made this whole thing a success was, um, we only, well, I met him in person. How many months? 4 months, 5 months after I met him online. So
Okay.
there was a goal. We knew when we were gonna meet, and
Proximity
we
helps.
met. And then yeah, proximity helps. He was in a different country. He was a few states away.
Right.
Easy plane ride. Um, but I don't think the fact that he was in the same country really was that big of a factor. I mean, look at Brian and Exiled. Do you know who Brian
Right.
and Exiled are?
Yes, I know Excel.
Oh God,
I
they're
know her.
the
I don't know Brian.
cutest thing. They're the cutest thing ever. And
They
we
got hit,
actually met
right?
them. We met them this summer in person.
So yeah, we're down in El
Yeah.
Paso, or
They were in Colorado Springs, and we stayed there during our little road trip.
oh, how wonderful.
Um, anyways, I think a lot of it had to deal with we knew that Kevin was gonna move to California
Okay.
in August, early August, late July. Um, so we knew we wanted a future. There was a future plan.
You guys, had a future, right? Got together and you saw that
Yes,
this had, every possibility was going to work out, so you made it work, right?
yes, yes.
Okay, look, I want to try it too. I want to try internet relationships. Is there like anything I should, avoid, look out for?
I think you should avoid people who are very flip floppy. They don't know what they want.
Okay,
And
like
you gotta go with your gut instinct.
should I like
Um,
meet somebody and then like all of a sudden start telling them I love them and I can't live without them and they're like the best thing ever in my life?
no, I think it takes time. I think trust takes time.
Trust takes time.
Um, yeah, I think the thing is that I met Kevin on a forum where we were already like using our voices to talk.
Right.
It would have been a little different. I mean, the start of it would have been a little different if it was all by text first. Like
Yeah,
an
chat.
online forum. Like chatting thing. Um,
Like how
but
often did you guys talk? Like every day? Or
yeah,
what?
we talked every single day since the day he told me he liked me.
See, that works.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
what
we're in a forum where you see people on camera,
right.
so you know that they are who they are. So that hurdle has already been jumped.
Okay. If the
Um,
person complains that you're like too clingy or you're bugging them, is that a bad sign? Or you just have to back
um,
off?
I don't know if you're willing to back off, then just give them space. But
Like
if
did
you're
Kevin ever
not,
just
then
say, "Hey
then
man,"
it's not gonna work out.
did Kevin ever just say, "Hey, I'm not going to talk to you today. Leave me alone for a week."
No, that never happened. It
That
never
never
happened.
happened.
No.
Okay, why do you think that happens to, other people's relationships?
Mm, because maybe their relationship isn't the number one thing in their life.
Oh, that's interesting. So this
Maybe.
thing was like the number one thing in your life.
Yeah.
Right.
But see the thing is I'm not as much as I'm spiritual and kind of a hippie as you say. Um, Before Kevin, I was not very positive about
You weren't,
romantic relationships.
upbeat. Okay.
I,
You
I I wasn't the type of person who wanted to talk to someone every day. I wasn't the type of person who
were you
thought
scared?
that really not necessarily scared, more like I have other priorities.
Okay,
Um
Kevin is a gentleman, right?
oh yes. Yeah.
Okay, what about guys that aren't a gentleman? I mean, you pick that up right away, or
Um well, I mean aren't a gentleman. Maybe not right away. People can be fake when you first meet them, but when you get to know them,
All right.
Maybe they're not the gentleman you thought they were.
Like some guys.
I don't know.
Well,
When I first meet someone, I I what is it? I I give them the benefit of the doubt, but
right.
I don't get close enough to people where if they betray me, then it hurt me so badly.
Okay, so let's say,
I'm not open to just anyone.
okay, let's say like
But
we just meet and I say I like you, Jack, and everything. We're talking, and
sorry,
I say, hey, could you send me some sexy photos of yourself?
no,
Okay, why wouldn't you do that?
because I don't I don't know you that well.
Okay, so I
And
mean,
I'm not the kind of person. Even with Kevin, I'm not sending photos. I've
okay,
never
why?
sent a
Okay,
photo to anyone.
okay, is that a bad thing though, Jackie? Send sexy photos of yourself. I mean,
I think it is. I think if you're not if you're okay, it depends. If
okay,
you're going for a career like I am, where you want to be a professional
okay,
in an environment where your private life kind of doesn't matter. Then no, I'm not gonna
because you don't want
take
to get blackmailed.
new. No, I don't want to get blackmailed, and you can get blacklisted in the entertainment industry, and people won't hire you.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm an animator, but it's still the entertainment industry.
Okay, so you don't send sexy photos. Let me see.
No, not at all.
Um, Let me see what else.
But if you're the kind of person who is in a field or something that allows you to do that, if you're a model or already a porn star or you're
I love it.
or if you're an entrepreneur who has your own business, and you don't answer to anyone,
Okay,
then
well, how about
you can
this?
do whatever you want.
Okay, we meet, and you like me. You say I like Bunto, and I like Jackie, and then I say, hey, you have to quit drinking, man. If I start telling you to do stuff like you have to wear this, and you have to quit drinking.
Then
When we get together,
I wouldn't
you have to
feel
be a
comfortable
stay-at-home
with
wife.
that. No, 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 I would not feel comfortable with that. There's
Okay,
no
so
way.
what happened there? I mean, some people are like that, but they want
Well,
rules.
I don't care for people who try to run my life.
Right. You don't want your prerogative stepped on.
No.
You don't step on Kevin's prerogative, and he
I
don't
do.
step on yours.
No, we support each other. Because if you really love me, you love me for who I am and what I
Right.
do.
You know,
And
he
if you're
doesn't want you
telling
to walk
me
around
to
in a
stop
burqa,
doing this and yeah, if you tell me to stop doing this and stop doing that, then I question whether you love me.
or he just want to control you, right?
Right. Well, I think that works hand in hand. If you're trying to make me into someone I'm not, then you
Right.
don't love me. You love your
Okay,
ideal of
I'd get together and I'd say, I don't want you talking to any more gay people anymore. Okay, that's over with. And you would say, forget it,
well,
right?
forget it. Yeah.
I don't want you talking to any more gays. There's some people like that they want to like,
The thing is that Kevin wouldn't ever do that.
right? Kevin is a gentleman. He understands. I mean, you guys are simpatico. You're on the same wavelength.
Oh yeah, we are.
Okay, so is that really important, Jackie? Like, if I meet somebody online that they have to be on the same wavelength right off the bat, or can I work, the
Mm,
wavelength to me, or what?
like I said, the end goal is important, and if by that end goal, especially if you plan on living with this person, you should be
Okay.
on the same
Should I plan
wavelength.
the person, Jackie? I guess so, huh?
Well,
Is there
I'm
anything that's
not
just
saying you
together?
should. It's just I guess maybe that was my ideal with Kevin.
Okay. Well, Jackie, think about that. Should I just, could I ever have just an internet relationship and just keep it that it's just an internet relationship?
You could. I think you could, as long as both of you understand that if both of you have the same goal, if both of you have the same motivation, then
Okay.
yeah, it could work out. If you're okay with not having physical contact with this person, then
Right.
it'll work out. And if they're okay with that.
Okay.
But
So
the moment one of you starts to want something different, you know,
yeah.
and you don't talk about it, or you don't agree to readjust your goals, then it's gonna fall apart.
Okay. So you meet me and you like me, but then you realize, like, man, there's just no way I want to physically get with Bunto because he's just too intense. I mean, we could just have an internet relationship.
Well, if um Bunto's okay with it, then it'll work out. But if Bunto's not okay with it, then it's time to move on.
Like, shoot, that's right. You got to move on. That's a very good point.
It's a two-way street. You do have to be on the same wavelength. You
That
do have to be. Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever have trouble moving on? Because I know somebody right now in our community who's having a lot of trouble just moving on.
Oh, oh, geez.
I mean, if somebody just rejected you, you just accept it, right, and move on.
Well, that's the only thing you can do.
Um,
I mean, what else can you do? Like, go,
I've seen
go,
something else
go
too.
stalk
So
that
something
person and
else,
hold them at gunpoint and say,
right?
"Marry me or else." It's the only thing you can do.
Right. Very good point, Jackie. Anyway, so
But
Jackie, we get together online and we're having a good time, and then I say, "Well, honey, let's go shopping for clothes, right? I want to buy a bunch of leather stuff." And then you told me, "Hey, you don't like that because that has to do with animals, right? It's cruelty to animals."
I wouldn't tell you not to do it because that's your life. But I would just say, hey, if you don't mind, I mean, I can go with you, but I'm not gonna buy any real leather. Maybe they might have a cute jacket that's faux leather. I don't know. I bought in faux leather, and I do buy leather if it's from a thrift store, if it's from secondhand.
Oh, I see,
Cause,
but not
because
directly.
then, yeah, because if you buy leather from the direct source, then you're giving money to support it.
The
But if
industry.
you're buying, yeah, I don't want to support the industry financially. But if I'm buying it from a thrift store, then I'm supporting the thrift store. I'm not supporting the people who made this jacket or this purse
Right.
or this
Okay,
article.
Jackie, animal rights. Okay, how long have you been aware of animal rights? Are you an activist?
I wouldn't really consider myself an activist, and I think that term is thrown around too
PETA,
much.
hardcore
Well,
vegan.
what I mean is a lot of people consider themselves activists for X cause, right?
Okay.
But all they do is like type stuff on the internet, like don't do this, you're being cruel and
All
stuff.
right.
They,
So
they
what's the
don't
point
they don't
then?
actually go out and picket or like actually go to rallies or actually like recycle or not buy leather or buy cruelty free products or or support their LGBT community financially or something like
Okay.
that. Like I think if you want to label yourself an activist, you have to be active.
All right. Fair
But I
enough.
think if you're aware of the issues and you do little things to help out, right?
Right.
I wouldn't consider myself an animal rights activist, but I would consider myself aware. Um,
Okay.
so I don't buy wool products directly. I don't buy leather directly. All of or mm, all of my makeup is cruelty free.
Okay. Yes,
And
cruelty free.
right now I'm in the transition to finding like shampoo and conditioner and stuff like toiletries that are cruelty free. It's kind of hard, but
Okay, so
I'm
like
getting there.
me and you are on a date, and I say, okay, let's go to Burger King and have a Whopper. Are you going to tell me, well, that's cruelty to cows?
Uh, no, I wouldn't. I'm a little less active when it comes to but I mean,
Because
I don't believe that you have to be a vegan or a vegetarian to be
oh,
contributing. I don't eat red meat.
I
Uh,
definitely slimming down my red meat consumption. I've already given up
yeah,
eggs and dairy, and I'm
yeah.
moving
Oh,
towards.
I would have such issue with giving up dairy. I love milk too much. But when I do start earning money and stuff, when I can afford it, I'm going to try to make sure I buy my milk from farms that don't treat their cows cruelly. Like I want
Cool.
to make sure that my food comes from places that don't treat their animals cruelly.
Right. Okay. Okay. Pets. What do you think of pets?
I love doggies, and I
You
think
love
everyone knows this.
dogs. So, but look, Jackie, they got these puppy mills, right?
No, no, I hate the idea of puppy mills. I do go into pet shops with puppies, but I just go in to play with the puppies. I don't think I would ever buy from a
Pet Smart.
puppy. Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that. I would adopt my
Adopt.
puppies,
Rescue. You rescue an animal.
or hold on, give
Go
me
ahead.
a second. The boyfriend wants something.
Sure.
I'm sorry about that. He was just asking about dinner.
Yeah.
Um, what was I saying? Oh yeah, okay. So I would never buy a puppy from like a pet store, but I would buy from a breeder.
Mm-hmm.
I would do the research and buy directly from a breeder who breeds like specifically that breed or a couple breeds or something and doesn't treat their dogs like crap.
Excellent, honey. Okay, honey, of all the people in the Great Debate community, who are you besides Kevin, who are you most simpatico with? Who do you hang around with?
Uh, Definitely. Like I said before, the group with 13 heathens.
Mm-hmm.
So 13
That's
exiled.
exiled. I mean, you hang out with the Nadians or not?
Um, I like a lot of people who don't actually come into the hangouts on air, like Rose and I like Headless and
Headless.
Paranor and Cliff Jumper and Shar
I've seen those guys in
and
hangouts.
yeah, and I hang around Prudent,
Prudent.
yeah,
Yeah.
and Epicurus, who goes by the name of Max now.
Okay, look,
Uh,
the Nadians.
there's a lot of people I get along with, but I think I think the one person I see 13 heathens like a father figure.
Like a
And
father.
then, yeah. And then Brandon Exiled, because I've met them in person and I feel really close to them.
Okay, look, the Nadians. I mean, have you moved on or
Yeah.
you still go in there and,
Well,
play?
the people who we define as the audience changes.
Right. They
from time
cycle.
to time. The current batch of Nadians, I don't know, just not interesting enough discussions for me to go in there
Right.
that much right now. Um,
What
a
about
lot of the people who used to go into Nadia's Hangouts now go into Gus's Hangouts, so
yeah,
I go in there. Yeah.
okay, but what about the head cheese herself? I mean, you ever, interact with her anymore or not?
I love Nadia. I'll go in there from time to time. It's just lately it just hasn't piqued my interest. It's just a matter of interesting things are
True.
occurring. Yeah.
I like the sense.
It had nothing to do with like who I like. It's just who I'm A comfortable with and B find interesting.
Wow, those are two high hurdles. But anyway, Jakki, I'd like to thank you for a wonderful interview. I'd like to ask you, could you just hang around and take some questions from the fan base?
Sure.
Sure, it won't be a bit. And just hold on a sec. I won't take but a minute. I'll set out the invites. Hold
Okay.
on.
All right.
Okay, I'm back. I've noticed that I'm having trouble sending out invites. Could you just send out some invites to your circles, Jack?
Yeah, I'll post the. Oh, I'm hearing echo.
Okay. How about now? Are you still hearing echo?
No. Oh, actually, yes. Sorry.
Well, okay. Well, I can go on headphones.
Okay. Sorry
Hold
about
on.
that.
No, go ahead and send out invites, and I'll get on headphones.
Uh, well, I can't send out invites from the Hangout directly because it's an on-air Hangout and I don't have that mod power, but I can post the link in all of my Skype groups and um I'll post it on my G Plus page.
Okay, there you go. Are you still hearing echo?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
No. No,
All
I'm
right.
not hearing it.
Excellent. Well, all right. Um, so what's Kevin's favorite food?
We tend to make pasta a lot.
Carb up.
Yeah. Huh?
Nothing. Is he a cook?
He cuts. He cuts for me. I'm not the best cook.
Oh, you're not? Are you willing to
No.
learn or what?
Huh?
Are you willing to learn?
Yeah, it's more so that I have trouble with some of the kitchen tools,
Oh, I see.
and I just don't have enough motivation to figure it out.
Okay, so like operating a keyboard, I mean, you've overcome that hurdle,
Yeah,
as far as using,
I've
tools
been
of the trade.
typing. Yeah, I've been typing since like second grade.
Okay. So, all right. The only, what do you have trouble with? Working tools and cooking utensils.
Um, hmm. I have trouble with um. I have trouble with scissors.
Scissors.
Yeah. If I'm having to do like arts and crafty type things where you're like cutting things out and gluing things together,
Right.
I have a difficult time with that. Um, so I don't really like scrapbooking that much. um, if I were to do like some sort of 3D art project, it would be with like clay or unconventional materials or found objects. I stay away from scissors. Um,
What about musical
and
instruments?
then, oh god, that's like my worst nightmare.
Really?
I wanted to play guitar so badly, and I just never been able to figure out a way to do it normally.
Hmm.
Like there have been suggestions, but they've all been like, do a slightly different string instrument or take out some strings or use this
Yeah.
tool and it will sound different. Use this technique. It's just like, but but that means I'm not actually doing the thing I want to do. It's a it's hard to explain.
Well, you think of like,
I
the
don't even.
blues guitarist. I mean, they just use a slide like a bottle or something, slide over the strings.
Yeah, but it's not. It's not the same. I don't know. It's not something that I don't know.
Oh, well, I mean, besides guitar, there's other instruments, harmonica, so forth.
Well, I played trombone
Oh,
from
really?
from fourth grade to sixth grade,
Yeah.
and I didn't like it. I really didn't like it.
Okay.
It made me feel inferior because I really so badly wanted. Cause okay, my elementary school had a music program, and I
Right.
really wanted to do the cello,
Mm-hmm.
and I couldn't. And then it was okay. Well, maybe I'll do the no, wait, no. It started out with the violin, and then I was
Right.
like, okay, well, maybe I can do cello because I don't have to hold it up, right? But I couldn't do that. So then I was like, well, maybe I can do the trumpet. It's only three keys, but
Right.
that didn't work out either. And then I was stuck with the trombone, and I had to do it because the music program was required, and it was either that or choir, and I wasn't comfortable with singing at that point. So,
Hmm. Do you sing nowadays?
in the shower,
Yeah. Well, okay. What's so important about artistic expression? Just tell our listeners what your take is on it.
I think it's incredibly important. I think it helps with everything else. It's all tied together. If you're expressing yourself and developing your creativity, then you can solve problems in other fields creatively. Like even if you're a business person, right? You can
Right.
still, if you're actively engaged with the creative side of your brain, you can apply that to coming up with creative business solutions.
Okay. So you're looking to make
It's all
money.
intertwined with each other.
Okay. You're looking to make money from art.
Yes.
All right.
Hello?
Yeah. I mean, some
Oh,
people
sorry. It's
choose
just
to
my.
do art, for the sake of art, not so much, monetary gain.
Well, I do art for the sake of art.
Right.
That's why I've chosen it as my way of making money. If I was really just if I wanted a way to make easier money, then I would have chosen a profession like being a lawyer or a doctor
Right.
or something. But I want to do what I love, so.
Okay.
But
What
I
is
also need to make sure I'm making a living, so I have to I have to put them in the same category.
right? Okay. So why 3D animation?
Because I'm not patient when it comes to 2D animation. You gotta draw the same character over and over again, and
Right.
I've had trouble with focusing when I'm
With
doing
focusing.
that. Yeah, I procrastinate. When I was doing my principles of 2D animation class, I had a really hard time with waiting till the last minute to finish my animation. It didn't do it for me.
Hmm.
When you make a 3D model though, because I'm a 3D modeler, I don't I actually don't really work in the part where you're animating things. I
Oh,
work mostly in the part where you build the character.
right.
And when you build the character, you're done with the character. I guess maybe I like building the character.
It isn't like Stizor a 3D animator.
Yeah, I think he does mostly hard surface modeling though.
Okay. Is
I'm
that,
more of an organic modeler. I like characters.
I see. Have you ever like worked with Stizor or traded
I
clips with
want
them?
to so badly, but I have other things in my life that are taking priority right now.
Right.
But there have been mentions of some sort of collaboration in the future.
Yeah, I mean, who else is a animator in the community? You and Stizor, right?
Bert Poole.
Oh, he is? Okay.
Yeah, Bert Poole is he works for DreamWorks.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so he's a major league guy. What about, I thought
Yeah.
Keepe's, well,
I don't know Casey that well.
Yeah, Isaloo, I believe. Okay,
Oh yeah, Stygor is another one of my buddies, and I feel bad about not mentioning him before. But yeah, I freaking love Stygor.
all right. Yeah, that's good, to hear.
Yeah.
A lot of people know Stizer. I don't know. I was just, curious. What was the, motivation for you to get in the 3D, animation?
Well,
I
I
know
didn't
there's
know I
books in it.
wanted to. Yeah, I didn't know I wanted to do 3D until college.
Right.
In high school, I was in the film and television program.
Mm-hmm.
And then going into college, I thought I would do something in like concept art or comic books or something. And then I I took a class where we learned how to use Maya and learned
Maya.
how to do. Yeah, Maya's the 3D animation program.
Okay.
So then I fell in love. Yeah.
Well, keep going. I mean, the audience, they don't know anything about this world. I mean, could you describe some
Oh.
more stuff? I mean, somebody, get in there and, just tell us
Oh.
more about it.
Well, it's like it, it's almost like how do I say this? It, it it's more fulfilling when it comes to bringing things to life. Because when you have a 2D character, like you're limited to a flat plane, but when you're navigating in a 3D space, you have a lot more options.
Keep going.
In my opinion, yeah. And I mean, some 2D animators argue that you actually have more creative reign in a 2D space because you can draw whatever. You're not limited by, um, you know, uh, the constraints that you have in a 3D space. But technology nowadays is allowing us to be able to mimic what happens in 2D to happen in a 3D space.
Look, what type of characters do you draw? I mean, you draw little animals, you draw humans of what?
I'm more of a figure draw.
Amazon,
Yeah, figure drawing.
like, super sexy chicks that the third wave feminists are always complaining about, objectified women. Yeah.
I draw more like fantasy or sci-fi characters.
Okay.
And I Stazor!
How?
Yay! Stazor's here! But yeah, so I draw a lot of anime characters too. Like my drawing style is influenced by anime because I grew up with anime practically.
How about you, Stazor?
Most
Same
of the
thing?
anime TV shows that I watched were from Japan.
Well, I grew up on Ulysses, fucking hell. Well,
Gigantor?
basically cartoons of the 80s I grew up on. Jason and the Wheel Warriors, City of Gold, or what the fuck it was called.
Mm-hmm.
My first manga that I ever watched was Akira, and that was in
Akira.
1987. I watched that, which was bizarre. But that's my all-time. That Monster City and Fist of North Star.
Oh my god. Good
The
choices.
movie was terrible though.
Great
Well,
choices.
So how's your artwork coming along, Stizer?
Mine, well, I took the day off college today. Yesterday. I was just so fucked. I just couldn't be asked going in. So I just stayed off. Other than that, it's going fine. I should attend more consistently.
You know, isn't Beckel an animator?
Yes, that's right. He is an animator.
Well, me
What
and
about-
Jackie do the same thing. Me and Jackie do 3D modeling.
Okay,
Yeah.
you guys do 3D, but he only does 2D.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too.
What do you think of his
I'm
stuff?
pretty sure it's
Is it high quality or decent or what?
It
I
is
haven't
pretty
seen it, to be honest.
decent. I mean, he does it by himself. If I remember correctly, I mean, for someone who does it by themselves, it's really impressive.
Okay, he's sending out the Bible message. With your 3D artwork, are you guys going to send out the atheist agenda?
But I'm not an atheist though.
He's an atheist.
Yeah, that's not quite the same.
That's
Though
true, but
I mean, classically it would be technically, but
okay, but I mean, just this guy's putting out his Christian message. I mean, what are you guys going to put out?
I ain't putting out shit. I don't want to argue with people about religion. I want to solve problems, not fucking create them. That's the problem. He wants to create religion.
You're afraid to demonstrate that there is no God, right?
I don't need to demonstrate there is no God. That's the entire point. I don't need to demonstrate that someone's fucking opinion is actually valid. You know, that's just the way it goes, isn't it? It's like me arguing about someone over their favorite fucking flavored ice cream. It's pointless.
Look, I don't know if you heard the interview earlier, Stizer. I was asking Jackie, if I was like some high school kid coming out and asking, should I go to, Bible school or should I go to art college? And, she couldn't give me a straight answer. I mean, what would you tell me?
I'd say go to art college because most of the art is actually, you probably learn more in art college about religion than you would fucking learn in religion. Because most of the people who are the best artists were actually religious, just as a matter of.
What do you think of that, Jackie?
I like that.
Yeah. Well, the Renaissance period was all about religion, and that's where most of the best art came from.
I know. Oh my god, I want to go to Europe so badly just to see all the cathedrals and all the art and yeah, it's religious, but it's awesome.
Everybody loves the Gothic thing, right? Everybody loves that shit. The
Gothic.
The archway itself.
Gothic.
Yeah, the archway itself came from the Middle East. It didn't come from Italy. It came from the Middle East.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask
That's
you this.
insane. If you learn about art, you actually learn about religion at the same time.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, in order for me to graduate, I had to take 5 art history classes.
Yeah.
5 art history. Okay, well, let me ask you this, Stizer. Is there any point to being a polite non-believer in this community?
I mean, I think being polite in general is always a good idea, right? Regardless of what faith or non-faith you have. I think just being polite is nice. I'm not the best type of person to qualify for that distinction, but oh well. Right. I think it's good all around to be polite. But you can be also assertive and polite.
Matt Bell comes into our room and he, tells us
fuck off.
God is, the one true way to understanding all art, right? You're gonna tell him he may have a point. You're gonna tell him he's full of shit.
I'm gonna tell him he's full of shit.
Right. Okay, Jackie. Why don't you, see any, clarity?
Sorry, I was just handing dinner. You're gonna have to repeat that again.
Okay, you like to avoid impoliteness, when dealing with the fact that there is no God, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't like to break the bad news to the believer.
I like the way you said that, Bunto. Break the bad news.
Right.
What
is the point of being polite about something that's a fantasy? You have to
Well,
explain that to Jackie.
well, I mean, come on. It's like you can be polite and just politely say, look, okay, this is your conviction. As much as you might have conviction for this position, it is wrong. You know, and that's what you can do. Now, it's up to them to disagree or agree. More than likely, if you're gonna make that statement with someone who is a theist, obviously they're gonna disagree. But the point is, you come across as a better person if you don't be so insulting to them, right? Because people don't like being insulted, regardless.
Exactly.
Like, you fear hurting their feelings about, totally shattering their fantasy, right, Stizer?
I don't know. I don't fear anything of that nature. I just don't want them to apply their opinions as facts. That's just annoying.
Right. I totally concur. In this community, in this community, you were really polite at the beginning, right, Stizer, and then you eventually evolved into.
No, it was exactly the opposite way around. And when I first joined, I was a complete cunt, and I gradually became less of a cunt.
All right.
But yeah, I don't hide my trollishness or whatever the fuck I get up to. But at the same time, I've tried to be a bit more accommodating, because a lot of people told me my message is on point, but the way I say what I say throws people off somewhat.
Oh, okay.
So I should be a bit more reserved in my mannerisms, which I can understand. So I've gone the opposite way.
I have to admit, though, watching Skyzor go off on someone with a fuck, is actually quite entertaining.
Right.
It is, to a point. Unless you're on the other end of it, like, it's not entertaining.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not like, even when you see me at my most trollish or, being just rude or whatever, I don't hold a grudge against them people or dislike them or, I've got no malice. It's just the way I speak, it comes across that way in general anyway. I could ask you for the time and it would sound like I was insulting probably at some point.
Yeah. I understand that.
What fucking time is it? There you go. It's like, what? Yeah, I'm just asking you. But I put a fucking there, So.
Okay, well, let me ask you this, Stizer. Do you believe that Jakki Kite handles herself well when she's talking to theists? I mean, does she need to get white-knighted? She said she can handle herself.
Well, I think she can. I've known Jack for a while. I think
Christian hillbilly.
Well, I think she's made points that are relative. In some cases, I mean, this is the point. If you're trying to judge people, you should judge them on, I guess, the meaning of the message, not so much how one arbitrates it, so to speak. So yeah, I think Jakki is very capable of handling herself. She's a smart young woman, so she's very capable of handling herself in that regard, in my opinion.
You got people like Christian hillbilly calling her little girl.
Well, Christian hillbilly should know better, because I've known him for about 4 or 5 years, and he's the least person I would take advice from, to be quite frank.
Apparently, he has an Encyclopedia Dramatica page.
Oh, he does?
Yeah.
He is. When he speaks, you shouldn't pay any attention. When he reminds me of, he's like the Ned Flanders of the internet.
I haven't seen him around a lot, though. Like, I just haven't seen him around.
Hey, what's up, Sparkle? How you doing, darling?
Hi, Deidre.
Hi, Deidre.
It's like Deidre. Yeah, me and Deidre have had our fallen out, but she's never blocked or, being
Is that true?
That way inclined. It's true, man. It's just difference of opinions on how we see subjects, but that's fine,
I just wanted to stop by and show some love to Jakki. Jakki, I missed your interview because I fell asleep because I wasn't feeling so hot. But I did want to pop in and be like, hey guys, I'm pro Jakki. Jakki's awesome.
Thanks. Okay,
yeah. How could you be anti-Jakki? That's what I want to know. How can you be anti-Jakki? Where did
G-Man showed me that you can actually reach a point of anti-Jakki. I didn't know it was possible, but at one point there was an anti-Jakki campaign. Yeah.
G-Man is anti-fucking reality, So
I was shocked. I was shocked. My mouth dropped open because I've never seen this before. But apparently it is humanly possible to be anti-Jakki at some point.
That's insane for our community. Okay, but two things. DJ, tomorrow's a big day for you, right?
It didn't last long. You know, you want to know something awful?
What?
I'm going to sound totally incompetent here, but I'm not used to A, getting money donated to me, and B, moving money around, and also money that from out of country.
Okay.
So while people were very kind to me and donated, which I really appreciate, my funds have been kind of frozen up. At first it was getting it from the UK to here, and now it's PayPal. PayPal is being a bitch,
Oh,
and
no.
I have to delay it again. So I called my oral surgeon again because PayPal is still hanging on to the money,
Oh,
and
God.
now I've been on the phone like every day with them, and now they're like assuring me that yes, the transaction's going through, but you're gonna have to wait another 5 days again.
Oh, my goodness.
Again, it was 5 days before. 5 days. This is like the third time.
Well,
So now
deal
I
with
have it
donations,
delayed to the 30th. Freaking
Okay.
30th.
Halloween.
It's
for Halloween.
Well, that's kind of strange because I deal with donations. Obviously, with my stuff, it should only take 24 hours for the donation to go through.
So
If that.
GoFundMe me worked out, and then it went from that to an account in the UK, and then the account in the UK to PayPal, and then PayPal just like let me hang on to this forever.
Oh,
That's
my.
weird.
Well, anyway, I mean, what can we do? Just keep our fingers crossed, right?
So what's this for? Then I wasn't aware of this fundraising thing. If you don't mind.
So I have a I feel like I'm taking away from Jackie. This is about Jackie.
No, go ahead.
I just come in
no,
and like.
I know I'm
No, it's not about me anymore. It's the second half of the whatever.
Well,
talking about whatever.
because people can still contribute, right?
Well, yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know if you can now. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, like I've been having a lot of problems and it's making me sick, and it's been happening since December. And one of the main problems is I had an abscess that was going into my sinuses, and it got really bad in last December where I had cellulitis and I had to go in. I mean, it looks really bad. I should have taken pictures because it was gross, but then who wants that, so I had cellulitis, and, I had my first round of heavy-duty antibiotics, went in, and I thought, okay, well, I can get this taken care of in 3 months, but, money is tight. Couldn't do it.
Right.
That's why I would never live in the United States, man.
Yeah, so basically I've had 3 rounds of antibiotics, putting off something that I should have taken care of way back in December. And June, I got really sick from it, and Gus knew about that. And so Gus saw me take antibiotics again, knew that I keep getting sick from it, and it does affect my mood, it does affect how I behave, and he'd see me snap into anger, which I normally don't do, or, he was just kind of observing, and I guess he talked to Annabelle and Dragnot.
He's now got a new name.
So Annabelle and Dragnot got together and said, let's do a fundraiser for Deidre. And
how nice.
They came up to me and confronted me in a hangout, and I felt really embarrassed at first.
Don't be embarrassed.
I don't really want to be known as the hillbilly, with no teeth, because, as a girl, that's embarrassing. And B, I am sensitive about taking money, because I think there's people that have worse situations in the world.
I still think
you're in a worse situation than me, so that's fine.
But they convinced me to do it, and for that I actually, even though the money's tied up right now and I'm trying to get it fixed, and so hopefully by the 30th now things will be fixed. Just the act of kindness that people have had has just been mind-blowing, and so for that I'm really grateful.
Well, isn't this what the community's about, though, helping people? I mean, we all disagree.
Isn't it supposed to be like that? Okay.
But, well, I would like it to be like that. I would like to think that people can help each other regardless of what we think about God or not God or whatever the fuck it is,
And this isn't the only time that the community had a fundraiser for someone. I really think that this community, I think it's like 99% good-hearted people.
Like even if help G-Man, like I'm good.
Yeah, even if people get very mean about religion, I mean, something like this, something like helping someone out, I think most people in the community would like to do that.
And I know it sounds like a mild problem, you know, it's like it you know, but I mean, it's under $2,000 to fix, but when you are pressed, when you're impressed on all sides, right now we have a business that we're trying to run and we're struggling and we're looking at a housing issue, struggling and stuff like that, and there's just different issues that we're kind of pressed on. It's like you add one more thing to the plate and it's just on overload, you know, and so just the hope of getting this off my plate would allow me to think and reach, you know, at least I can fix my next problem without having to be sick for freaking ever. Like, I sometimes can't sleep at night, or it'll turn into nausea and stuff like that. It's just like, I don't know if you've ever had an infection, but it kicks on and off. So like it just kills your energy. It kills your energy.
Well, I got to tell you, that's a wonderful story that people did, you know, pitch in to make sure that you get better. I think that's wonderful. But you were party to something that I heard this week that really, you know, struck a nerve with me. You were in a private hangout where Benny surreptitiously recorded it, and then him and Rob Beasley had a field day with it. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, and I flipped through what I said just to make sure what I said. It's harsh, and you clocked me on gossip, but I actually don't. I still would stand by what I said.
Okay, my take on it. Here's a hangout where Mark, you know, who's been, you know, under fire for more than a week, gets to decompress, you know, and, you know, have a little levity with his friends, and you know, for his, you know, deed of that, he gets it recorded and fisked by, you know, Mr. Wonderful.
Besides recorded, he was avoiding a confrontation. She came in. He said that he didn't want to talk to her. She came and forced herself through Benny.
Okay. I know. I just said this hangout wasn't about me, but I'm gonna take that back. Just right now. Let's not talk about the sugar drama because
of World Peace. Got it.
Yeah, World Peace. Yeah, World Peace.
And in honor of Jackie, I totally agree.
Yes, and because in bringing it up, we run the risk of letting it all happen all over again.
Yeah,
or beyond that, now Rob Beasley's taken that upon himself now to make his own gains from the whole situation. The thing is that the tendency to be polite to assholes, Jackie, there's no use for it. I hope you can see that. What Benny did was utterly malicious and terrible.
That's true. That's malicious.
Okay? And I think, you know, if anybody's going to bring it out, somebody should bring it out in this community saying that, hey, you know, if there's private hangouts and you're taking it upon yourself to record them and then put them up, you know, on the public. He did this with Tommy and suffered the consequences. Now he's apparently haven't done any of his life.
Well, when he was trying to show G-Man the video in one of the hangouts, he slips and he shows a Lyrical Ryan video where Lyrical's saying G-Man sucks cock, and you can tell she's drunk. People tell me that she gets a little flirtatious on the screen, which is fine, but it's an off-air hangout, right? And it was a consenting adults, and he flips to that. He flips to that by accident, quote unquote. I don't know. I think Benny was doing it deliberately to show G-Man.
Benny's in trouble, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, so he keeps slipping to show G-Man sucks cock, you know, and Lyrical saying that. So and then part of me feels sorry for Lyrical, not because you know, like I'm just like, really, like so you've been doing this for a while then, you know, like not only is it like the sugar drama, this is Lyrical drama too, right? So it's extremely. I didn't know Benny did that, but it's really good to know now. It's good to know, and he's got a long history apparently, because he's got an old Lyrical video that he was looping by accident.
Benny's a fucking complete troll. I don't know, you know, some of these guys are new on here, but I know all the fucking trolls. I know the people who just like to piss other people off and shit. Because I'm one of the main ones, and I can recognize them all. And I fucking know most of them.
Okay, there's like a troll that has a non-malicious intent, right?
Yeah,
that's supposedly what Benny is. That's supposedly what Down is. They think themselves as white-collar trolls, right?
A white-collar troll.
No, Benny and actually and down. They're a different species of troll. They're a troll that requires other people's entertainment because they're not that interesting, basically. So
The
they
problem with
depend
this
on
kind
other
of
people.
trolling, what's creepy about it is this kind of trolling is I'm gonna be your best friend, and I know that you're having problems. I know that you might be in a delicate situation. You're very emotional. You're having problems. You're very hurt. I'm
Right.
gonna pretend to be your best friend,
So I can
so
do the
I can
most
give you a
damage possible.
platform and troll you. Meaning Rob Beasley, you know, like they buddy up with Rob Beasley. They give him a
Just to troll them.
platform.
Just to troll them. Yeah.
It's sad. It makes me feel sorry for Rob. It makes me feel sorry for Sugar because they're being
No,
exploited.
to be honest, Sugar brought that on herself.
That's exploitation, though. That's
No,
exploitation.
it's not. She. Listen, I've spoke to parties involved in that, and I like Sugar, right? I've got nothing against the girl. Obviously.
I don't hate her. I don't
Well,
hate her. I don't
no.
want anything bad to happen to her. What I'm saying is
Of course, but
like
I
the
think you bring
situation is
shit on
crazy.
yourself. No, but you bring shit on yourself if you're gonna act in a certain way. That way, well, you know, like me, like I get called fit to burn all the time. I know I bring that shit on myself because I've got a thick skin, so I can deal with it, right? But if you're not that way inclined, then you're gonna think everybody's out to get you, which is, you know, not fair on the people who are just commenting on certain situations. To be quite fair.
All right, let me ask you guys this. Okay, you know, I look at that video and I look at the comments, and there's like Shamos there and Michael Ann giving Benny what his activities the high five. I mean, what does that make you think?
I think that I don't know. I can't really say for Michael Ann. You'd have to ask her directly what she thinks. But I don't think it's as simple as Michael Ann giving someone a high five. I think she sees that there's some. Shamos thinks that people deserve what they get when they gossip. You know, I understand that. I get it. Ooh, you caught people, but also I don't think Shamos likes Mark very much. So I mean. The fact is Shamos is willing to say, sorry Shamos, I'm going to talk to you directly, and if you watch this, so what? I don't care. If you were in the room, I would say this to you. Shamos, you seem to be happy about
gossiping,
bad
right?
things happen to Mark, and I think that's interesting.
That's because he's a fucking atheist. That's why. Come on, that's not.
Well, I don't want any. You know, I just that's an observation. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's how he strikes
Some of
me.
these people got vested interest in like kind of making people look bad, not because they are bad. It's because it fits with their gender.
Yeah, well, it's like when the sob story was told to G-Man. G-Man's like, I'm gonna expose Mark Anoia. You know, Yeah, he's like, yeah. And so for me, I don't look at it as a war zone, like where I need to expose atheists or we need to expose Christians or whatever. I just think bad behavior is bad behavior. If you want to cut off a relationship, you can cut off a relationship. If somebody's being cruel, they're being cruel. Like it doesn't matter what religion you are or what creed.
Okay, G-Man wanted an apology coming out of your mouth, I believe.
G-Man doesn't know what he's talking about.
Right. Okay, that's the whole point of
And the only thing I would apologize for is you got me on the sin of gossip, because I was talking about somebody that wasn't in the room.
The sin of gossip if you're helping a guy decompress from a freaking nightmare week and a half that the guy's going through. I mean, you're just helping the guy talk out what's going through.
Because part of me is conflicted because there's always another person. So even if I think that other person's wrong, I know that other person has real feelings.
All right. You feel bad about the way Sugar has been behaving?
No, that's not my fault.
All right.
I feel bad that there are people willing to exploit her, and I do feel a little guilty for chuckling here and there because it's just so crazy that I chuckle.
It is crazy. I'd rather than crying, right?
So,
I mean,
so there's that, but I don't really feel guilty for much of anything. Like I said, I never called her a whore or anything like that. So someone said I called her a whore. I did not. I just, it's. I think it's dying, Bunto, and I think that's good. I saw some mature words from Sugar's mouth, and she sounded more at peace. So.
Look at this.
Let's let it die then, huh?
Sugar is now listening to Rob Beasley, right, and his insights? Is that
I don't know. I don't know. That's why actually that was one of the main reasons why I jumped in to talk to Rob, was because I thought that he was controlling Sugar, so I wanted to talk to him and kind of, I don't know. If Sugar happened to watch that encounter, maybe she could see that he's controlling and he controls other women.
So, how is everyone tonight other than the Sugar stuff?
I bet you can't stand. I can't wait for Deidre to be in another hangout with Benny, right?
Benny can suck an egg.
Benny can suck an egg.
Oh, come on. No, Benny's probably a dick. Pardon my French.
Well, I mean, if you're having any sort of private, conversation, doesn't he become a liability?
Let's put it this way. Stizer and I get into fights. Stizer and I get in fights. He punches me in the nose. I'm usually bleeding, and because I'm mad, because I've been punched in the nose, because he's called me a cunt, or he's called me shit for brains, or he's called me bisexual or gay, whatever he's decided to pick on at that moment, and because he's pitched my rage button, I usually will leave the hangout, because part of me likes Stizer enough to not want to fight dirty and rage at him or whatever. So I'll leave, But let's put it this way. As much as Stizer and I fight, I respect Stizer not enough to be like, I can be in a hangout with Stizer. I haven't blocked him.
Yeah. This is the thing, right? If you're gonna disagree with people, right? One thing I guess Deirdre can say is, I've never done anything towards it in regards to malice. I would never go out my way to go, you know what, today I'm just gonna punish Deirdre because I just feel like it's good for my fucking ego kind of thing. I would never do that. And I think she knows that anyway, deep down, in that regards.
That's at least one thing.
I hope she knows that anyway.
There's something in my tuition that just puts you in a different category, I guess. And so there's people that are here for the game, and it's a big, huge game of malicious behavior. Yes. And other people are here for actual connection. Other people are here for debate and conversation.
Sure.
I just am not interested in the game,
I would say the people that are in for malicious damage are some people to be wary of nowadays. And if there's any, if there's any, good thing that you can get from that damn hangout was that now we know who to look out for.
Mm. Well, Benny's a troll, isn't he? I don't know if people knew that. He is a troll. He's not like my kind of troll, though. Like, my kind of troll's always been, like, fun, like, annoying troll, where I'm not malice. And that's the thing. There's certain trolls who literally want to do you harm and want to belittle you on the internet kind of thing. And there's others where poke fun, wind you up, press your buttons. They're the original trolls of the internet, not these newfound fucking hipster trolls that I like to call them.
Hipster trolls?
Yeah, Dan and Benny and shit like that. They're hipster trolls.
I just imagine the big yellow ball thing that, Benny's icon with like a pair of Ray-Bans on them.
Well, how about this, Dive?
And a plaid shirt.
I mean, if somebody drops your docks, Stizer, are all, the gloves off? Are you going to fight fire with fire?
No, if someone docks my drops, it just means that they've got a boredom life and they couldn't give a fuck. I've got nothing to hide, so why should I give a fuck anyway? What are they going to do? Tell me shit they could already find on the phone?
Because in that very same hangout, I don't know what you think of Trollin. I guess Trollin is a troll, right? He was taking it upon himself to take easily.
Yeah, I know Trollin. Trollin's basically a hacksaw troll. Well,
right.
If you annoy him, he can do what he wants. But I don't like that kind of shit because that's just not the way I operate.
Right.
I think people who drop people have got a low self-esteem for themselves because I would never do that.
But it looks like this, for the trollish behavior that one does, I guess it takes another troll to take him out?
Well, it's not that. It's just if people do that kind of stupid shit, then that's beyond their own head or whatever, or be it on their own head. I wouldn't waste my time.
Is the Rob Beasley story going to have a happy ending? Yes or no?
Well, I mean, this is the point. Like, haven't you got nothing better to do with your life than worry about other people's shitty lives? I mean, that's the way I look at it, anyway.
Analyzing other people's shitty lives.
Well, whatever. Just being engaged in that kind of fucking nonsensical bollocks, anyway. It's a bit, childish, if you ask me. I think it shows the mentality of people if you engage in that kind of shit. So, if you're a child, then you act like one. And,
right.
In my opinion, them actions are childish. So.
Okay, well, just Monday. It's a new week, so we can go past.
I'm just saying, I just would never.
I see it as improving. Like I said before, I've heard some words from the other side that sounded more mature, more calm. Hopefully, everything's settling down and we can move on and get back to arguing like normal people, and Steiger can start punching me in the face again.
I don't like beating you up. Only sometimes.
Well, some of the good news is I've seen Carlton back in the community. I saw him yesterday. So.
Where did you see him?
He was in a hangout with Xbox, and
I was in a hangout with him the other day as well.
Right, so he's come back.
He left promptly though, which is a bit of a shame.
Decided to come back, which is a good sign because I found him interesting. How about you, Jack? You like Carlton?
I haven't talked to Carlton lately, but I like him, yeah.
Right, because he was chased off the.
Yeah, because someone mentioned the word pedophile and he instantly shit a brick. Right,
he was gone for about 7-8 months.
Yeah, he literally just disappeared. Pedophile! Oh my God, I'm running away. Which exactly.
But lesson learned: don't use your real name when you come in the community.
Yeah, lesson learned. We'll just leave it at that.
Just a warning. I lag out for like 10 or 20 seconds every 5 minutes, so if I ask someone to repeat what they just said, it's because of that.
Okay.
I came in, though, really, not to talk about sugar, not to talk about trolls, but I wanted to talk about how awesome Jackie is.
Go ahead.
Jackie's 3D modeling's awesome. I know that much. I've seen that. You need to
get how long you guys know each other?
Jackie. Well, we know each other just from being on Google, but I know she actually does 3D modeling, obviously.
So I did put my website in the side chat.
You're having a yummy white Russian. I'm actually drinking vodka at the moment while playing League of Legends. That's kind of funny.
Nice. What character are you playing? I
am playing Belkos right now.
Okay.
I like to beam and zap people to death. I'm actually doing quite well. I'm as Belkos. I'm 6 for 2 for 2.
I haven't played League since like 2011, so I'm not familiar with all the new stuff. And
you're a big gamer?
I am, yeah, I am.
You know what? I never used to like League. I was more of a Dota 2 player, but I'm kind of into League at the moment. Well, in certain players and stuff.
I have a problem. Okay, so when I was playing League, I have a much bigger learning curve to like get through when I'm learning how to play video games with like multiple, keys and stuff.
Right.
Because I have to learn like what to do with my hands and figure out what's right for me. And it was taking a little long with me in League, and I was messing up way too much, way too often. And the community in League is harsh.
They're assholes.
And I couldn't.
I'm gonna say asshole is the right word. Asshole.
I'm a gamer, and I'm telling you, the League community are assholes.
Yes, and even back in 2011, and when I was learning, I would say, hey, I have a disability. Just heads up. I
reported for having a disability.
I have a disability to like, fuck you.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
What they are.
And I just didn't want to deal with that anymore, so I quit. But I would do jungling because it was a little easier on the keys for me at least.
Honestly, I don't like the game. I don't like. I think Dota at least looks better.
Dota's a lot harder actually.
I like League of Legends. I hate the community. Wow. I don't like it.
You guys suck. You guys made Jakki.
Listen, I'm bronze 4, bitch. I'm okay-ish. I'm wooden. Okay, I'm wooden.
Well, it was back in 2011. I was a little more sensitive than I am now, and people were throwing names at me and like calling Lobster Claw bitch.
Okay, they're picking on
little cunt who can't do anything right.
People call you Lobster Claw?
Yeah, because I
someone in the nose for you. Like, that's ridiculous. Oh my gosh.
Okay, DJ, why are people that way?
People are assholes. That's why they're that way. It's our fallen nature gone wild.
Yeah, trust me, this community is way nicer than the League of Legends community.
That's right, man. Like, let's take our most brutal Fundy and our most brutal theists. They're still nicer. Our brutal Fundy, brutal atheists. And they're still nicer than League of Legends.
That's so funny. But you know what? It's so true at the same time. Most that's that.
There's like a maturity level.
Yeah, well, most of the people who play League happen to be like 12-year-olds who you just want to punch in the face. Like, seriously. They're fucking annoying cunts. And most of them are like French, which is always horrible.
You know, I can't think of any hangout, Jakki, that we've been in together where somebody's actually picked on, you're physically. Has that ever happened?
I don't know.
Nope, not in the community.
Anyway, so even in our wild community where people lose their shit.
There's some decency.
Yeah. No one has ever used my disability in this community against me.
But it fucking happens. Not in
that
my
actually gives me gives me some hope for humanity that we're at least better here than League of Legends.
I will say I have heard a couple of people pick on some other members of the community for their speech impediments, but
yeah, like Phony Beetle Maniac gets made fun of.
Yeah, and oh god, what's his name? I forget his name. The anime Christian.
Oh, Christian Anarchist?
No, not Christian Anarchist. No, not Keefies. I don't know if he still wants to use his real. Here, I'll type his name on there.
Yeah, type just in case.
Yeah, that guy.
I'm not sure if I think I've run into him once, but I didn't catch this.
That guy.
Is he the guy that has sort of a?
I didn't know
he repeats himself.
Oh,
okay. You know though, speech impediments oftentimes are kind of, it's not about intelligence or something. A lot of times it's about some sort of neurological pathway issue or something.
Neurological or physical in the mouth. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Right.
And so I kind of cringe when I hear people I've heard people make fun of Phony Beetle Maniac. I'll use him as an example because I think he's a sweet man. I think he's a sweetheart and part of me cringes when people just use the way he speaks as a way of making fun of him.
I know. Okay, there is one thing that he kind of hangs out in my circle of friends in the community. So the one thing we do get on him about is his typing, because we in the Skype group he kind of messes up his typing a lot. When he gets really passionate about something, he doesn't go back and spell check, and you cannot read anything he wrote.
Yeah.
So we have nudged him in the direction of you probably need to slow down or use a spell check.
The funny thing
No,
about
no.
spelling is often tied with how you hear things. Like words that I misspell sometimes are because I'm having trouble. I actually have trouble with how
Well,
I hear and say it.
Yeah, well, that's
it's not.
the same with me.
No, hold on. I need to clarify something. It's not that he doesn't know how to spell. It's that I forget what the condition is called, but when he thinks of doing an action, there is a longer delay with him to do the action than it is with us.
Yeah.
So, like, when he's thinking about typing the word "and," he doesn't get around to typing it until like 2 seconds later or something like that. I'm not doing a good job at explaining what it is, but it's not that he doesn't know how to spell things. It's that it's about his motor control.
I see.
Fine motor control.
Yeah. There's all sorts of reasons why people have some issues with spelling. It doesn't always. Everybody like goes straight to intellect. Actually, you can comprehend things pretty well. It's weird. I think the brain is really interesting, and
Ain't it?
I don't know, just the neurological issues that can kind of come out of it.
Mhm.
You know, besides speech defects and disabilities, you know, sometimes the accent is hard to pick up. You know, after a while, you get used to it, right, Stizer?
I you know what, dude? This is funny. I literally type the way I speak, which is frustrating for my fucking English teacher or anybody who tries to read whatever I type. It's like, what? It's like, yeah, I just literally thought that passage. My grammar's all fucked up. My spelling's all fucked up. But I'm a pretty smart guy. I think I've got some kind of dyslexia or some shit, but it doesn't bother me.
Do people complain about your accent?
No, if I slow down, I'm actually quite good. But when I'm Russian, I think, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Tommy Beatlemaniac has the same problem where if he's rushing, you can't understand anything he's typing. But if he takes his time and he goes back and spell checks things, or even just reads through his message once, right? He can pick up on his own spelling errors. It's just a matter of like typing accurately. If that makes sense.
Honestly, I do the same shit in a smaller scale. I make same stupid mistakes on a smaller scale.
Do you ever feel embarrassed
because it's
about
out of
asking somebody
being
to
hurried.
repeat themselves? You ever feel embarrassed about asking, like you're talking to Matt Bell and you're just quiet after he says something?
Oh, I'm not. No, I don't get embarrassed. If I don't know shit, I'm quite happy to learn.
A lot of times if I ask someone to repeat themselves, it's because something happened to distract me in my house.
Matt Bell.
Yeah,
I understand his accent. I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem.
Matt Bell.
Yeah, me neither. But
I understand.
well, a lot of the time when I ask someone to repeat themselves, it's because I literally couldn't hear them. I'm 80% deaf in one ear.
Oh.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a hearing aid?
I need to get one. I've always been really self-conscious about it. Like, do I really want to walk around with a hearing aid in my ear? Are people gonna, like, like...
Well, if it'll help you hear,
Yeah, it will. And that's what I was thinking a few years ago when I was still, like, kind of sensitive about my physicalities. But, nowadays I'm just like, okay, it's just a matter of me deciding to make the appointment with my ENT.
Right.
Isn't it interesting? I know what you're talking about, that hearing aids are considered particularly ugly or cumbersome, or people might treat you different for having a hearing aid, but yet I've seen people now, I mean, let's put it this way, glasses are the wheelchairs for the eyes, right? And and I've worn glasses probably since 6th grade, and I tend to wear glasses more than contacts because my eyes, no matter what contacts, my eyes hate me, and it just, I have a bad reaction to contacts. So I usually lean towards glasses, and if I wear contacts, it's like 3 hours at the most. So So I see this trend now of all these people that want to be hipsters or something. I don't know what they want to do, but they're like stealing my glasses, wearing the same glasses I do, and some of them aren't even real glasses. I'm like, seriously?
Right.
What the heck? And they're like, look, I'm smart, I have glasses. I don't know what they're trying to do. But for whatever reason, eyewear is, this is a fashion statement, and yet if you have a hearing aid, people look at you differently. Like,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
it's so interesting. I don't know. Have you ever seen the picture of the guy that got a tattoo of the insulin pump on his stomach because his daughter had to have an insulin pump?
No.
Yeah, I think I've seen that.
It kind of melted my heart a little bit,
Wow.
because she was so sensitive about wearing an insulin pump, and it was embarrassing to her. So he got a tattoo of it as well. And I think the thing is that we really need to move to a place where we don't judge people for something stupid like a hearing aid, or something stupid like, oh, you're in a wheelchair. Like I've seen people treated differently because they're in a wheelchair. People get all awkward and stuff. It's like that's the same person.
Is that just a natural human reaction?
I think we all think we don't want to lose mobility, so that would suck to lose mobility. I don't know. Maybe it's fear. Maybe fear.
I think it's probably fear of self. Yeah, I think it's a fear thing. Because when I was in hospital and shit, I was like, when I woke up and stuff, there's like people next to me with like fucking no legs and shit. I'm like, wow, that's close. Like,
right.
Like literally, I'm on a bed and I'm the only one with legs.
It kind of reminds people of their own mortality and
exactly.
their
fragility.
The fact that your body isn't like some
bulletproof.
What? It's not bulletproof. Yeah, it's not invincible. You can get hurt. Everyone is gonna die.
Well, but I think people when you say death, people go, yeah, whatever. But when you're actually faced in the moment, like I've faced it twice already. That shit is terrifying. Like in more ways than like when I was like literally dying outside the fucking hospital, the only thing I was thinking is like, please just be over quickly if I'm dying. That's the only thing I was thinking. Like people are like, did you think of God? Or no, I've got no time to think of God. I'm thinking about me.
Right.
Fuck God. Fuck God. No, I'm thinking about me at this present moment. I'm thinking I'm fucking dying. Trust me, when the time comes, you won't think about God or pray. You'll be thinking about yourself being in the...
Oh, rats. That was a great story. Are you guys still here?
What happened?
I think he dropped out. Oh, I hope he comes back.
Did you kick him?
No! I was just listening. I was like you. I was just riveted to his story, and then he just went away. I was like, whoa.
That was you. I was like, what an asshole.
Sorry, no idea what happened there. Sorry.
Continue.
Yeah, it's just when you're in the moment of being nearly dead, it's like, no, you just think about yourself, and it's kind of strange because you panic, but you don't panic at the same time. You try to get relief from the situation you find yourself in. Like me, I was just like, I had pins and needles like from my chest down, and that was the most weirdest sensation ever. I've had it in my legs, but it went up literally up to my chest cavity and into my arms, and I was like, okay, now I am gonna fucking die this time. Once was lucky, twice is a charm, 3 times is deadly, so I'm hoping there's no 3rd time. But the 2nd time, it literally went to my chest, and I've never had pins and needles from my chest ever in regards to that sensation, so it was pretty scary. But in them moments, honestly, I can tell you personally, the last thing I thought about was praying to God to save me. I was just like, get a fucking doctor and save me, not a fucking God of any type. I need a doctor. Just give me some painkillers, do whatever the fuck it is. But I wasn't thinking about God. And that's why I find it really annoying when people used to say to me, I'll pray for you. It's like, fuck off. Yeah, because if you're praying for me, didn't God put me in this fucking position in the first place? So don't do that, please. And people kind of got offended, but understood why I was offended. At the same time, it's like, oh, sorry, didn't mean to offend you. It's like, don't worry about it. But it's just so patronising. and annoying to say that. You know.
Anyway, Jakki, I wanted to say that you're one of the most consistently kind people in the community, and I just wanted to affirm that and thank you for that, for being a ray of sunshine where there seems to be a lot of gloom. So, with that,
thank you.
I do believe that you are sincere and you care for people, even if they're on the opposite side of the fence and stuff. And so, we do need people like you. We have stormtroopers and ferocious fighters, and we have all sorts of different kinds of people. But we also need people like Jakki, people like St. Tommy, people who affirm other people as people and love other people no matter where they come from.
No, I think, you know what, in this regards, Sparkle, I think a lot of people do feel that way, but I think the ego and the razzmatazz of G+
Your
gets in the way.
ego, you gotta feed the good wolf, not the bad.
The ego.
Classy.
But I like to thank all the
I
participants,
think
and I like to thank Jakki for the wonderful interview tonight. Wish you all well. Have a great week. Take care.